Planet Hulk is going to be the next season for Marvel Snap, the first season for 2024, and I am hyped. Dude, I love this theme. Look how sick this theme is. It's the Contest of Champions. It's Grandmaster's Gladiator Duel, and I love it. It looks so good. The season pass cosmetics are fantastic with that Skaar looking pretty good. The Gladiator Hulk, Planet Hulk, and then also that Silver Surfer looks so good as well. The card backs are pretty awesome. I love it. I'm here for all of it. And then the season pass card is going to be Skaar. Now, the craziest thing about this month, before we get into the ratings of all the cards, is that there's 6 cards releasing this month. 6. And on top of that, we're getting 2 releasing tomorrow. That is going to be Skaar and Caiera. This seems to be the new norm for Marvel Snap. We're going to have 2 cards released at the beginning of the month each season, which is kind of crazy. That's a lot more cards per year, and it's going to make the start of a season a lot more exciting, I think, especially when they pair so well together like these two do. But without further ado, let's get into Planet Hulk's cards, and let's see which ones I think are going to be the best, or maybe some that are going to be a little bit weak. All right, kicking it off with the Season Pass card, and that is Skaar. Now, I've already done Snapper Pass videos for this card and the next one that we're going to talk about, so definitely check that out. I'll have the link in the description below, and also stay tuned. We're going to talk about the Spotlight Cash schedule for the month of January, so you can kind of plan accordingly for which card you want to pick up. But here we have Skaar, a 6/11, cost 2 less for each of your your cards that have 10 or more power. Now, quick clarification. The cards have to be on the board. Your 10 plus power cards have to be on the board. They can't be in hand or in the deck. That's not going to discount Skaar. So if you have one 10 plus power card, 10 or more power card on the board, Skaar is going to be a 4/11. And that is why I'm giving this card 4 stars, because a 4/11 stat line is fantastic with no downside. No worry about him destroying himself like a Tuma or giving -1 power like Typhoid Mary. He's just 11 power. They only have to pay 4 energy for, and the only condition is that you have a lot of power on the board, which is something that you want to do anyways. So I see this being a really good card once again as a season pass card. If he ends up being a 2/11 or a 0/11, that's just cracked. That's just insane value. You're running away with that game, and you could copy it with Moon Girl so that you got 2. And I really like that combo because you can play 1 Skaar to help discount the second Skaar, or you discount them both to 0. You got 2 0/11s in your hand, or 2 2/11s in your hand. You play them turn 6. Huge swing. I really like that. So I think Skaar is going to do fantastic. I also got She-Hulk, Hulk, all these. The Hulkverse, man, it's all coming together this season. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then Lockjaw, I have Lockjaw there as just a kind of a symbol for ways to cheat out high power cards to further discount Skaar. So yeah, I have high hopes for this card. I think he's going to be quite powerful, but definitely check out the Snapper Pass video because I go into more detail about the mechanics, some deck lists, and some counters for this guy and his mom, Caiera, which let's talk about right now. All right, so Caiera, I'm giving this card 5 stars. I think this is going to be the strongest, or at least biggest, meta influencer this month. So she's a 3/4 ongoing. Your 1 in 6 cost cards can't be destroyed. Something similar that we've seen before in Series 1 with Armor, except there's a few differences. Once again, I made a Snapper Pass video on this card because it's crazy that 2 cards are coming out in the same week. So I went into more details in the link description below. But yeah, this card just seems very strong. I mean, you pair this with Blob Thanos deck. That's already a really good deck, top of the meta deck, and this just makes it even more cracked because now you can play your Blob wherever he's going to be protected. He doesn't get countered by Shang-Chi. And like that's really the biggest boon to this card, is lowering the stock value of Killmonger and Shang-Chi. Yes, Killmonger gets countered really big, whereas Shang-Chi can still destroy anything, that's 2, 3, 4, or 5 cost with 10 more power. But really, I think the 6 cost cards that have the big power totals where you use Shang-Chi to destroy them, that's the swing you're looking for. And in this case, she's going to protect it. She's going to deny that from happening, which I think is going to create, possibly some toxic scenarios where it's just not a winnable situation, because they've already got this really big 6 cost card out there with high amounts of power. You can't destroy it. You can't even use Goliath because now they have priority and it's just GG. You're locked out. You lose. So got to watch out for this card. I think it's going to be quite strong and maybe not even the one that's winning the games, but really helping enable some other cards win the game. So I think it's going to be the biggest influence on the meta. And then Thanos is just crazy because you protect the stones and Thanos and the blah. Oh my God, don't even get me started. I think it's a lot more fun in a Zoo style deck where you use like, I don't know, Human Torch has always been countered by Killmonger, and now he's safe with Caiera on the board. Or maybe you run like that Kazar deck with like Blue Marvel, or even like Ultron or something like that, where you get a bunch of drones and they can't get destroyed by Killmonger. I don't know. I think there's some fun ways to use this card. But at the same time, I feel like she's going to be primarily used in the Thanos Bluff deck. So time will tell, unless there's some nerfs on the horizon. We're supposed to get a patch on January 9th. Maybe, hopefully. We'll find out. Okay, let's get to the next card because we got 4 more cards to cover. This is a crazy month. And then we have Hercules. Man, I want to love this card because move cards are so much fun. That deck can be a really great time, but I just don't think this is going to be a strong card. In fact, I'm leaning towards saying that this is going to be the weakest card of the month. And there are 3 primary reasons, or I'll get to it in a second. But I'm giving him 2 stars. He's a 4/6. The first time another card moves here each turn, move it to another location. So that's pretty great when you talk about like moving your Vulture or your Multiple Man or your Human Torch, something like this, and you get 2 movements out of 1 trigger. That's great. Of course, your Human Torch, if he's pushed into Hercules, he goes to 4, and then he's pushed out, he goes to 8 off of just 1 movement trigger. That's fantastic. Here's the problem. Okay, you have to not only draw Hercules, right? You gotta do that. Then you also gotta draw a card that you want to move into the Hercules location. So like that Human Torch, for example. Then you have to draw an enabler card or a movement engaging card or whatever you want to call it, right? So I'm looking at Ghost Spider, Heimdall, Doctor Strange, these sorts of things. And then you're looking for a 3-card combo just to activate an on reveal a second time. Essentially, that's kind of what it's doing, right? Moving a card twice. So I'm just like, and he's a 4-drop, so he's a little bit late game. Maybe you pair it with Sabu, but I don't think there's really a move deck that needs that. It's usually a lower curve move deck. It just gives me a lot of Spider-Man 2099 vibes. Another thing that Hercules has going against him is that it's each 1 movement per turn. So you move 1 card in there and that's it. Like Heimdall, if you shift Heimdall over, it's only going to bounce 1 card, which could be, decent because Heimdall needs more power to stay with him. It moves back to him. But then there's also the counterpoint that your opponent can move things, use up that Hercules movement, and then you don't, like, you're trying to move cards into Hercules. That's the whole game plan here. And then you can't. That sucks. Maybe you're using Hercules as tech against movement decks, but I highly doubt it because usually movement decks want things to move. If somebody's running, like, even if it's like Silk or something like that, they probably have Craven, and then you really got to watch out. So I don't think you should be running this guy as tech, and I just don't see him actually making the cut in movement decks. So I'm giving him 2 stars because it still could be a pretty big torch. Maybe run him with Caiera, Torch, Hercules. It could be fun. Probably not very good. Okay, let's get to the next one. Next up is MIEK, and MIEK is a Series 4 release. Let's go. Clearly, they're sticking with 1 Series 4 release every month, which is fantastic. I think that's just like, it's kind of a roundabout way of doing series drops, and I think that's the bare minimum that they should be doing, so I'm happy to see them actually following through with it. But MIEK doesn't look that good to me, and maybe I'm sleeping on this one a little bit. I'll admit it, okay? We have a lot of really good discard cards coming in February, which kind of makes me start to think that this card is going to get cut. So here's the reason, right? So MIEK is a 1/1. After each turn, if you discarded any cards, gain +1 power for each and move. So that could be a lot of power. So let's say you had 4 cards in hand, you have MIEK on the board, and you use MODOK, and you still have 4 cards in your hand, okay? He's going to discard those 4. That'll give MIEK +4 power, and then he's going to move somewhere. And hopefully, I'm not even going to lean into the movement too much. I think that's just whatever. And hopefully it doesn't screw you. That's at the end of the day what it's doing. It's kind of like the Silk effect. It's going to be random. We don't know where he's going to go. Hopefully, I don't think there's any synergy of a discard movement hybrid. So I think it's just hoping that it doesn't go to too bad of a place, or you lock in where he can go and keep him in one spot and he still gets that power, okay? But in terms of the power output, here's the problem that I see with this card. MIEK needs to be on the board when these cards are being discarded. So if you draw them early, great. Yeah, you could probably get your MIEK to, I would say like 8 power. Like, I don't know what the average is per game in a pure discard list, how many cards you're discarding, but I would wager it'd probably be in the 7, 8 to 9, maybe even 10 range amount of cards. And then you're looking at your MIEK like a crazy powerful card, right? That's fantastic. But if you don't draw this guy early, you don't draw him before any of those discard enablers, then he's not going to get that power. It's not quite like Morbius, who a lot of people are comparing to, where he gets +2 power no matter when. So you can play Morbius on turn 6 and he'll look back and say, oh, we discarded 5 cards. Great, I'm going to have 10 power. That's how he works. MIEK does not look back. MIEK needs to be on the board and then you discard. So there's a bit of a play pattern that needs to happen. And I just wonder if people would actually run this over, say, Nebula, for instance. Nebula seems to take the spot. Nebula and Blade, I would say, are the 2 1-drops that are most commonly found in discard decks, or even Black Knight recently. And like, are you going to cut any one of those for MIEK? That's the question that I'm raising when it comes to this card. And I think the answer is no. I don't think it's going to be worth it. I think all 3 of those other cards I mentioned provide more value, play more into your strategy than MIEK does. And at the end of the day, MIEK go either to Sanctum Sanctorum and win you a location because you put power there, or he could go to a location that you just did not need power. And it might be awkward in that route. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough one to call. But of course, MODOK is good synergy. Hellcow getting a lot of discard is good synergy. And Craven, if you want to try some crazy discard move hybrid, but he is series 4, so that definitely helps out. And there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of good discard cards coming in February, which might make it hard to even further put MIEK into your decks. It might be easier to cut because of all the good stuff coming. I don't know, it's tough. Anyways, let's get to the next card. So next up is probably my personal favorite of this month, and that is Beta Ray Bill. But I don't think he's gonna end up being all that powerful. And I'm just not too sure yet. Time will tell. Okay, I got to learn more. I got to look more into this card. But right now I'm giving him 3 stars on reveal. Shuffle Stormbreaker into your deck, a 4/5. Series 5 release as well. So what does Stormbreaker do? I'll show you guys in a second, but really quickly, essentially it is a 0/1 card with the on reveal of doubling the power of old Ray Bill here. So with playing Stormbreaker, it becomes a 4/11 essentially, if we include the 1 power of the Stormbreaker. So definitely not bad, pretty darn good in fact. But the problem that I have with this card is that unless we're using Zabu, which is a good synergy with Ray Bill here, then we are going to be playing this on turn 4, and then we only have 2 draws to get Stormbreaker. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, you probably should be running this with Jane Foster, and we're going to get to that in a second when we look at Stormbreaker. But just looking at Beta Ray Bill here, you're looking to maybe buff this card up because we're doubling in power. Any buffs would also consequently be doubled. So you could use Shuri into Ray Bill. That's going to bring him to 10. And then you use Stormbreaker. That's going to bring him to 20. Now we're talking. It could get out of hand, let me tell you. Even Forge just giving +2 goes to 7 and then 14 with the Stormbreaker play. And it might not be all that hard to play Stormbreaker. It's just, when you look at this card, dead draw on turn 6, right? You play this on turn 6, it's a 4/5. You do not want to be doing that. If you can't really cheat him out any earlier than as a 4-drop, then maybe it's a bit difficult. Maybe we look at something like with Magic and Jane Foster and Thor, and I think that could be a lot of fun. I have high hopes for that package, but it does kind of give me some Dakin vibes, and he didn't really take off all that well. I don't think this is going to be a bad card by any stretch of the imagination, okay? Do not take 3 stars as a bad rating. It's just, I'm not so high on him compared to the other cards. Let's quickly look at Stormbreaker. So with Stormbreaker, there's actually some really fun synergies here. So of course, Lockjaw, because we can throw Stormbreaker into Lockjaw and then hopefully draw it again and then play it again, which is always kind of nice. You do that with Mjolnir and Thor. But the best is Jane Foster and Thor. And if you play Thor on turn 3, Beta Ray Bill on turn 4, and then Jane Foster on 5, man, that is so much power. And that is so much fun. I love the theme when characters, certain cards synergize together that have a good theme going. And then we could also throw in Wong, and you play Stormbreaker at the Wong location. You're going to go from, that 5 power to 10 to 20 in one play of the Stormbreaker. Maybe we even look to Moon Girl the Stormbreaker so that we have 2 of them and you play them. The power can get crazy. And I am totally open to changing my mind on this star rating and when we get closer to the Snapper Pass video for this card. But definitely stay tuned because we'll be doing that in just a few short weeks. So many cards, dude. It's so crazy. Okay, let's get to the last card, I think, of this month. All right, and last up is none other than the Grandmaster himself, who I'm giving 4 stars to. This is just a crazy combo card. So 2-0. On reveal, move one of your other on reveal cards here to the middle location. Its ability happens again. This is a little bit much in the text department, I think, for Marvel Snap, because there's a few keywords here that kind of just slip under the radar, in my opinion. For instance, it's not entirely random which on reveal is going to activate again, because it's wherever you're playing Grandmaster. So if I have Black Panther on the left location, and that's the only card I have, you play Grandmaster at the left, it's going to activate Black Panther. But let's say I have Black Panther and Wave at the left location and nothing else on the board. It's going to be between one of the two. Then it is random. It's one or the other. But the final situation that I'll bring up is that if you have Black Panther at the left and Wave on the right, and I play Grandmaster on the left, he'll activate Black Panther every time. It's not even a question. So it's where Grandmaster is played. He's going to look for the on reveals there. So in terms of, controlling the RNG of this card, there's a lot of control. You can just play accordingly. Even if your opponent threw over a goblin or something, you can make pretty good use of this. But, then there's the other thing that I don't fully understand, and time will tell, is what if the middle location is full? Because we've seen it before where it's more of an and situation. There's like a period here. There's like punctuation is weird when it comes to Marvel Snap. But I'm just wondering if the movement has to happen for the on reveal to trigger again. If that is the case, then we're in trouble, I think, with this card, because your middle location gets clogged up or just whatever happens, space thrown, there's a lot that can happen. And then all of a sudden, Grandmaster is a 2-0, not doing a whole lot. So that's where I'd kind of look out. But the combo potential is through the roof, and that's why I'm giving them 4 stars, because you can move Shang-Chi maybe if you want to destroy some more 10 power cards in the middle location, or even Black Panther, like I was mentioning, to trigger his on reveal again, which is always nice. There's even like destroy synergies with moving Venom so that he eats up everything in the middle location, discounting your death further. Honestly, I could have put so many cards as synergies on the left-hand side. You could just look at all the on reveals in the game, and pretty much all of them are going to be thankful for a Grandmaster play, or at least playing into your deck strategy. So I definitely see this popping off, but honestly, there's so many possibilities. I can't even wrap my head around which one's going to be best or not. There's probably a lot. Wave Alioth Grandmaster comes to mind, just so you can play Alioth twice, but I don't know. It is wild. Okay, we got 2 new locations that we got to check out, and then I want to show you guys the Spotlight Cash schedule for January. All right, so here are the 2 locations that are going to be dropping in January. Overall, these are pretty whatever locations, in my opinion. I mean, Crown City, we've already kind of seen something similar like this with Baxter Building and a few other things. Whoever's winning here gets +4 power to adjacent locations. So if it's on the left, it's going to give +4 to the middle. If it's in the middle, it's going to give +4 to the left or the right if you're winning there, etc. And I think that's fun. I actually like the ones that are, a bit of a quest or a bit of a challenge to win it, because it creates a bit of like an added element to reading your opponent, assessing where they're going to be playing cards and playing accordingly, which I think is very fun. But Great Portal is not so fun because it's random and it's going to give you a random card, which could influence the outcome of the game, and you don't know that until it drops. So yeah, I don't necessarily love the RNG, but there's been worse ones, so it's not all that bad. I think they're pretty okay locations, the 2 of them. All right, let's check out the schedule. All right, and here is the Spotlight Cash schedule for the month of January. So as you can see, both Skaar and Caiera are going to be releasing in the same week. They both get released tomorrow. That's crazy, dude. That's unheard of, and I can't wait. I'm definitely going to stream, so definitely stay tuned for that. Looking forward to it, but it is going to be wild. When you look at the Spotlight Caches, I think the most valuable one is, in fact, Caiera's. So like picking up the season pass, if you're a regular for doing that, and then you get Caiera in a Spotlight Cache, I think that is a very worthwhile combo, especially if you don't have high Evo or Nebula. Really good value to be had there. Outside of that, I don't think there's really all that many that are they're very good, to be honest. You could look at like MIEK isn't all that good because he's a Series 4 card. Phoenix Force series going to Series 4. By the way, there's going to be series drops, if you're not aware, next week, and I have implemented those to these cards. That's why you're seeing Hitmonkey at Series 4, Phoenix Force at Series 4, and a few others. Okay. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't really love the Spotlight caches all that much. Some of the variants are fire. Like, look at that Galactus one. Oh my gosh. But aside from that, I think I'm just going to use my Spotlight caches for the Caiera, and then I'm going to start saving for February. That's my plan personally. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this new season of Marvel Snap, the first season of 2024. It's pretty hype. Let me know what you think about these cards in the comments below. If I missed any combos or anything crazy, like, I would love to hear it, and I'll try and put it in my Snapper Pass videos. All right, thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys next time.